This week's guest is Greg Carrette, who I had the pleasure of being on a panel with at Wonderland back in November. And we finally got a chance to connect and sit down and do this podcast and hear what he's been up to. And it is truly a blessing and something that the universe just did for us, in the fact that we both just came from sitting with ayahuasca. And that was not planned at all. And it was so wonderful to be able to hear him talk about his experiences and share my experiences and just connect on such a deep level. So it was such a great episode. And yeah, this episode is sponsored by Mushmore. Mushmore unlocks its members' full potential through the power of microdosing. They have tons of amazing products and an amazing community on Telegram to join, and they're super helpful in helping everybody get through whatever it is they're trying to get through, giving advice and listening and holding space. It's a great community to be a part of. So check them out on Telegram at the link in the footnotes of this podcast. Now here is Greg.
I had a bit of a bad spell a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. Maybe I don't know whether I need to go into detail yet, but
you can go into whatever detail you want to go into.
In 2019, I had a severe burnout, and after the burnout, basically, I am suffering from mood swings, and so sometimes for like a while, I can just feel in a really bad place. And I felt in a really bad place. But luckily, a few months ago, I decided to go on an ayahuasca retreat. And that one took place a few days ago. And I came back from the retreat, and all of a sudden, I'm out of that, let's say, depressive episode. So, which is kind of amazing. But at the same time, I feel a bit restless because I'm like, oh my God, there's so many things that I want to do. And I'm like so impatient,
Oh man. So, had you ever worked with ayahuasca before?
Never. I'm like mushroom, psilocybin, LSD, ketamine, MDMA. But I had never, because I was a bit scared. I'm like, you hear all of these terrible stories about Aya, right? So the media are like framing a certain kind of picture of Aya, and it had made me even scared. So I was like, no, I don't want to do it. Until a few months ago, where I was like, yeah, I'm ready.
How absolutely amazing is it that when we were trying to schedule this podcast and get everything going, I had no idea that you were going to be coming back from sitting with ayahuasca for the first time. And by the way, too, my Costa Rica trip that I had no plans to actually end up sitting with ayahuasca. An opportunity just fell into my lap to sit with this group for 2 nights, and I just sort of did it on a whim with my partner, and that was her first time experiencing it. But wow. I had no idea. Now I'm so excited to be able to like feel into that glow. And I was the same way. Like coming out, I was like, oh my God, I'm so inspired to do all these things. I need to reach out to these people. I need to get in contact and do. And then I was like, hold up. No, I just need to be. I just need to exist and be patient. And like patience is something that I've always struggled with.
Me too.
So you did, how many ceremonies did you do?
We had 2, yeah.
Was it back to back?
It was back to back, yeah. We worked with yahe, which is the Colombian version of ayahuasca. And it's also called la purga, basically. So it's very purgative. So it was, it was like the first night. I'm like, what the F is this? Like I'd been vomiting and like having like diarrhea as well the entire night. And I'm like, I didn't sign up for like a stomach flu. See what I mean? Like, what the fuck is this? And I have a business in like psilocybin, and with psilocybin, I'm like, woo, up in the sky,
just flying high.
Yeah, dancing with the divine. I'm like having so many insights. And in the first night of Aya, I was just like, what is this?
She just kicked your ass.
Jesus, fucking hell, yeah. So that was very interesting, but I'm very like enthusiastic about things I'd been in such a bad mood that I was ready to die basically. So I'm like, just bring it on, you know.
Hmm.
So I think that was that was the best motivation for the second night. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So did like after that first night, was there any insight that came to you from going through that terrible experience? It was literally just all
Nothing,
like,
nothing,
what the
just
fuck? She
nothing.
was just cleaning
Yeah.
you out, probably, just getting the toxins out
Yeah,
to just
yeah.
prepare you.
I'm like, and I was like, I'm not ready for this. And it was a very humbling experience because, like, yeah, for 3 years, I've been doing psilocybin retreats. And, people see me as a bit of a teacher, not a lot, but to a certain extent. So,
Hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, I'm like scaling the spiritual ladder. See what I mean?
Hmm.
And, um, and then after that first night, I'm like, no, no, I'm a no
Humbled,
one.
humbled.
I am a nobody. Yeah,
for
oh my
for your
god.
for your psilocybin retreats that you lead people on, do you bring in like medicine people to like sing during ceremonies or anything like that, or are you mainly serving and like how are you setting it up?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good question. I don't have any indigenous people basically. So, given the fact that but I'm not excluding it. So, I'm an ex-consultant. I used to work at McKinsey, which is a fairly known consultancy company, and then I went into corporate basically, and I was like first a senior director, and then I was a VP at the age of 36. See what I mean? So that is my pedigree. See what I mean? And when I do psilocybin retreats, I typically attract such people. So they're interested. They're at the beginning of their spiritual growth,
But
but
they're
they don't
not
want to
into
be
the
like,
whole woo woo shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're like, oh, I don't want to see like a guy with a man bun in white clothes, basically singing "Kumbaya." That's not that's not what they're after. See what I mean?
Not
So
yet.
I not yet. That's it. Yeah, that's it. So I basically like sell them what they want, but give them what they need. But in the retreat, I do infuse it with shamanic elements. So we have an amazing playlist. On the next retreat, we'll have a live musician as well who brings like
Mm.
shamanic music. So it's kind of priming people, to get there. But I love it. Basically, I love it. So that's what I love the most about the Aya retreats as well. We had people from Costa Rica, healers. Unfortunately, the healer from Colombia didn't get into the country.
Oh
So
no.
he was he was detained because he looked a bit too. He came right out of the jungle apparently, and he hadn't.
No
Well, he didn't have the
shit.
proper attire, so they were like, "No, we're not letting you in," and they sent him back. Unfortunately,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was unfortunate. But the people from Costa Rica were amazing, and they had the band with them as well, and the atmosphere that they created. I was like, wow. I was like, it was like a musical journey, and the music, like the waves were dissecting me and kind of reprogramming me and putting me back together. I'm like, what
I
the f is this?
during I've been on, I guess now I've experienced ayahuasca, I would say twice now. So like the first time
Mhm,
being 3 ceremonies that I did in September of 2022, this now being the second time, which was 2 ceremonies back to back.
mhm,
Both of
mhm,
them very healing, very amazing, but very, very different. So, like, the first
yeah.
time was in Peru with Shipibo. And so the way that they
Mm,
do it, there was at least the way that my Shipibo people did it was there were two curanderas, and they were just singing. So only singing
mhm,
Icaros, no instruments. And it was very dark. Everybody is just really sitting on their mat for the most part. You get up, go to the bathroom
mhm,
where you have your purge bucket, but you're not interacting, not really moving around, and doing that. And like those ceremonies for the most part like kicked my ass. They
mm,
were just digging up like the deepest shit and like showing
mm,
me
mm.
what it truly means to love myself by showing me all of the shame and guilt that I've been shoving down my throat for my entire
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
And there was no part where I think I truly was able to revel in like the euphoria of like being in the universe. Like I understood those lessons but didn't get it.
Mhm,
And now the second
mhm,
time was Santo Daime style, but more like shamanic Santo Daime, which is
mhm,
religion that came out of Brazil,
mhm,
which uses ayahuasca. And there's a big fire in the middle, so you could see everybody around you, and there's the whole band. They got a couple people on guitar, a couple people on drums, people with shakers, other people singing. There's like at some points there's 8 people all singing the songs together, and then the main guy who's leading, sometimes he gets up and walks around, and just the way that they were curating the music, I thought I was at like a little mini Tiny Desk concert. It was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, like the way we had live music, like a live band. What the evening was split up in two parts. First, there was the silence, so we had to be silent for 4 hours. And even when you would go through your process, basically, and you were making noise or sounds, they would come up to you and say, "Brother, you need to keep quiet."
Even like while you're purging.
Yeah, well, not purging. Purging was allowed, but not, let's say, not making too many, noises or like
like
talking
like
or like
laughing,
trying to.
crying. What if I'm like
Yeah, yeah,
laughing
yeah.
or
Like,
crying? Like I get that's part of my process.
no, he was like, just, be quiet, respect the silence. And I'm like, oh my God, but, and then the second part was was the musical part, basically. And they performed quite a bit of healing as well. Like the ladies had to go up, and then the men had to go up, and then they were singing songs and like expelling, I don't know what, demons or whatever it was, basically. So that was,
Doing the
it,
limpieza,
yeah, it was.
the
Yeah,
cleansing
with the
with the
with
condor
the
feathers.
yeah. That was a different ball game. That was kind of really impressive. Um, I loved it because after the first night I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore, never again. See what I mean? I'm just going to stick to mushrooms. I love mushrooms. That's my drug. I'm going to get another mushroom tattoo and that's it, Mama Aya.
Mhm.
Thank you, but no, thank you. And after the second night, I'm like, I'm going to do it again. I want to go to the jungle. So I'm ready for the jungle. Yeah,
So
bring it on.
you're already like, I need to go back and do this again. Like I need to learn
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what happened on the second night?
It was, I think that after 45 minutes, I started to see fractals, and I'm like, yeah, this is the gateway, right? This is the first step. So I knew it was coming, basically, right? And then I had another purge, basically, but the whole experience was very visceral to me. Like, it was a very bodily experience. So I had a lot of like spasms, and
Mm.
I was twitching a lot, and my face was making these funny faces. And after a certain while, I thought that I was a rat. And I feel that, a lot of the trauma and the emotions that were stored in my body were just being like released. See what I mean? So I didn't get like a lot of insights. The insights came later, like the following days. But, in terms of all of the trauma and the tension that I was holding onto in my body, I really believe that all of that was released. So I'm super grateful for the experience, but I'm very grateful for the fact as well that I had done psychedelics before, because I really made these very funny movements. Basically, at a certain moment, I was like like a rat. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was going on. It was yeah. But I think that thanks to psilocybin and other psychedelics, I kind of understood what was going on, so I just let it happen. But I can imagine that people who are new to this and don't have any experience with psychedelics, and they go on an eye retreats, that they must be shit scared. See
See,
what I
so
mean?
it can go both ways, because one of my really good friends now, who I met on my first
Mhm.
ayahuasca retreat in Peru, he had never done a psychedelic before, like ever, and
Mhm.
he flew to Peru to do ayahuasca, and he was able to just surrender right away. Like he wasn't
Wow.
fighting back. He didn't have like a lot of the
Mhm.
issues. And me, as somebody who had done a bunch of psychedelics, I was having a ton of trouble surrendering.
Yeah.
Because I was holding on to the way that I knew other psychedelics to work. So I think I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
trying to like, I was expecting that subconsciously. So when it wasn't happening that way, it was just getting harder and harder for me.
Yeah, yeah. So how was it for you then? What happened?
The first time,
Yeah, first, second time, just dwell on
oh
it. Share,
man.
please.
So the first time, like the very first ceremony for me, I didn't purge at all, and I ended up spending about 2 hours just laughing unbelievably loud. Like they would have kicked me out of your ceremony because of how much noise I was making.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to stop, was the thing. Like I was trying so hard to be quiet and
Mhm.
keep it down, to be respectful of other people. And the more that I would try to be quiet and like chill, just the harder and harder and more I would laugh. Like my abs were in pain because of how hard I was laughing. And it was just kind of one of these lessons. Like I was trying to take it so seriously. Like I had just flown 5,000 miles to be with these weird people drinking this thing and have this experience and like taking it so serious. And like I was like, you need to lighten up a little bit. Like just,
Yeah.
fucking laugh sometimes. Like not
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
needs to be that serious. And I just felt a lot of love and gratitude. And it was a very easy ceremony. And then the second ceremony kicked my ass. I thought that I had, basically I was like, I guess I just don't have any demons. Like this is going to be a walk in the park. The second ceremony was just pure pain. And like my stomach was basically just like building and building and building slowly and slowly and slowly for 6 hours, just feeling like this huge purge needed to happen. And I was judging it a lot. Like I just wanted it to happen. Like I wanted to get it out. I didn't want to sit there and feel it. And after finally about 4 or 5 hours of just sitting there, like suffering, moving around, sticking a finger down my throat, like doing everything I could to purge, the facilitators were like, why don't you just try sitting with it, man? Like stop judging the discomfort and just get comfortable with it. I was like, fuck, you couldn't have told me that like 3 hours ago. And so once I did that, it was all these feelings of shame and guilt that I had been judging myself for over my entire lifetime, and like using that as the teacher to help me get better. And it was basically accepting all of that. And then finally it was able to actually purge that out. And I did the double purge. So I had to go to the toilet and diarrhea, throwing up at the same time, profusely sweating. But it was like a true like sensation. Like I was physically letting those emotions go. Like I was accepting it and loving myself for who I am, regardless of all that. And that was the most profound lesson of my entire life, and still probably has been. The third ceremony that time was just a mix of the first two, because I thought I was like, okay, cool, what's next? Going into the third one, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then ayahuasca's like, I don't think you got the first two. Let's take it back.
Take it back. Yeah.
And this last time, I really wanted to reconnect with ayahuasca, and I'd been feeling the calling for a while. So just so you know, what I do for work is I actually work with retreat centers down in Costa Rica to help do their screening process and basically like get people to the ayahuasca retreats. And that was just through the network of people that I had met through the podcast and some other things that I had done. And I used to work in tech sales. So now it's like, okay, now I sell ayahuasca retreats. Cool. And I had just been feeling like kind of disconnected from the medicine, because I'd only experienced it one time and it had been so long ago. And I'm stepping into this new role as like a guardian of this space. It's like, who the fuck am I to tell somebody whether or not they can come into this space or not? Like I was starting to get really bad imposter syndrome. And so again, it was funny, while we were there, I was talking with my partner, like it was at night, and I was just feeling all these emotions. And then I was like, I need to sit with ayahuasca again. Like this needs to happen as soon as possible. This is going to be a priority for me when we get back. We need to make this happen. And she's like, okay, we will. Very next morning, the guy we're staying with, without knowing the conversation we had, was like, hey, so my group's sitting in a couple days. We got 2 extra spots. You guys want to come?
The universe.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to say yes at this point. And yeah, it was a good ceremony, just reconnecting with it and like assuring me I'm on the right path and I've done the right things, and like I'm putting in the time and I'm being patient, which is hard for me. Like I need to just keep being patient and just trusting the universe and just knowing that it's going to fall into place and it's going to work. Like, it's hard. I'm struggling for money sometimes, and like, shit happens in this world that I need to, I need to find a way to get some money really quick just to keep myself afloat, but I want to keep working in this world. And then
I can completely relate to what you're saying. I mean, I'm a bit older, but like I'm married. I have 3 kids basically. I used to be, as I said, a VP HR, and I was making a lot of money basically. And then I started to, I made the decision to become an entrepreneur, and financially, financially, it's a whole different game, right? You're like, wow, I presume I'm doing what I ought to be doing, but at the same time, you're not making that much money, right? So and then you see that decline year after year, and then you're like, what the fuck, do I need to go back into like corporate or
Uh-huh.
consultancy? But it's not, it's not your mission, right? It's not what your soul is basically screaming you to do. So you're always pulled back to at least I am, to psychedelics, right? And I think it would be really difficult for me to go back to a normal job. I think it would be like impossible, because I do think that this is one of the things that psychedelics do. Like, they align you with your purpose, and everything that is not your purpose is like, you, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's just gonna
prefer,
eat away at you, and
yeah,
you're gonna be so much more aware of it eating away at you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just, it's like, it's impossible basically to do it.
Do you
So
have any
yeah,
trouble, given the fact that a lot of the people that you serve, like that come to your retreats, are like, you know, high performing individuals that are, CEOs and like at the top of their game and whatever they're doing, and like, sort of knowing that maybe like that's not the end all be all. Like if they're going there to like, do better at work or something like that, like how do you handle that, knowing that for you it was like, no, I need to actually get completely away from this.
yeah, so we work with an intention as well, like, so beforehand. So I do a bit the same like you do. I do a health screening, and then I send out 15 questions or so where I'm like prying, like, who are you? Where do you come from? Tell me a bit about your mom, your dad. What do you have anxiety? What's your current relation? What does your current relationship look like? What is it that you want to achieve in life? And so it's like this kind of personal development journey, basically, that we start, where I'm trying to navigate away from the professional life. See what I mean? And it really works for a lot of people. There's not a lot of people that join for like, to achieve a certain kind of professional intention. I think that a lot of people who are drawn to psychedelics by nature are not doing it to enrich themselves like professionally, but more like personally, and they feel that they are their biggest hurdle to achieve certain success, right? So I'm not getting like the big egos, I'm not getting the people who are saying I want to make X million more.
Hmm.
So I think that's the so for some kind of reason, I think that the psychedelic is doing a screening as well, um, so yeah, and I think that most of them are just at the beginning of their spiritual journey, right? So when they go on a retreat with me, there's so many things that basically happen to them, and so many insights that they get. That I do see a high number of recurrent clients who they come back after 9 months or 12 months or so, and then they're ready for the next step. See what I
Hmm.
mean? And I have this kind of partnership as well with two ladies who do ayahuasca retreats. The one that I went to last week, and so whenever I see that people are ready for something more, I can refer them to an ayahuasca retreat. See what I mean?
Hmm.
And not that there's necessarily an order, but I do feel that some people, because of the purga, because of the purging, that a lot of them are not ready yet for ayahuasca, and and it basically happens
I think especially
as a
too within that ceremonial context where like it really, they're
yeah,
beating
yeah,
on the
yeah,
drums, you're sitting there in silence, you're not doing much. Like it's you need to be a little bit more open to that to begin with
yeah,
in
yeah,
order to get what it wants to teach you. Because like
indeed,
if you're skeptical going in, like it's not going to work.
it's
Like
not gonna
I
work.
will tell people that immediately. Like if you don't think this is going to work, it will not work, and don't do this.
Yeah, yeah,
There are
yeah.
better
No,
things you can spend your money on.
fully agree, fully agree. Yeah, well, we've got the same with psilocybin. I've had a few
Yeah.
clients basically who joined, and some of them were like, I had a lady, and she joined, and she was like, I saw her like very first minute of the retreat, and she's like, I thought about driving back because I lost a friend to marijuana. He got a psychosis, killed himself. I don't want to do this. I brought the book. The book is written by his mom. She's trying to tell people not to do drugs. So that was like the very first minute that I like met her, and I'm like, this is not going to work. And then there was this. She's lovely though. I mean, she's a really good person, but it was just not for her. See what I mean? It was not. Yeah. So, and in the end, the ceremony didn't go that well either. I think that after an hour, she left. She went upstairs, and she was crying in the gardens, and telling me that she shouldn't have done it. And I had another guy as well who was like, I'm not a creative. This is for creative people. So he's really like like indoctrinating himself,
Yeah.
like saying, you know, this is not for me, this is not for me, this is not for me. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not like you. I'm not like you. And he didn't enjoy his experience either. And we gave him 35. He wanted 35 grams of truffles, not of magic mushrooms, right? So that's like equivalent to a clinical dose, right? So and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Yeah, just so his mind, it was like mind over whatever soul. Yeah. So yeah, people need to be open to it because otherwise it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
pretty common thing with ayahuasca too, that I think even regardless of how many psychedelics you've done, the first ceremony, it can just not work. Like you can just not feel anything. There were a lot of people that were on the first retreat I went on, as well as this other retreat, that they had done recreational psychedelics in the past, but never true intentional journeys. And the first ceremony,
Mm,
they didn't feel anything. Like they didn't purge, they
mm,
didn't feel high. Like they felt like maybe mildly just like uplifted and a little lighter, but nothing crazy. And like you need to give the medicine time to work through you. And like that's why I think when
yeah.
you work with ayahuasca, specifically having multiple ceremonies, whether it's 2 or 3, is so crucial, because you need your body to like ingest the medicine and essentially prime itself for the next ceremonies, because that's when, you know, shit's gonna pop off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, when I did the retreat, they were talking about the 2 nights, and the first one they referred to as the bitter night. See what I mean? Like, and the second one was the sweet night.
Mm-hmm.
So we all had to go through the bitter before we could reach the sweet. But as you said, yeah, there were people basically who didn't feel a thing. Well, basically they had a lot of purging, but they didn't get to any insights. But even then, the healer was saying that for some people, this is what can happen, and it's not because you don't see anything or you don't necessarily feel anything that the medicine is not working. There's a lot that can happen behind the scenes as well. Like, so yeah. So, but it's so interesting. I really feel with Aya that there's this kind of, at least for me, like I'm ready for more of it. See what I mean? I really feel that I'm at the beginning of a certain kind of journey. I don't necessarily have that with psilocybin. See what I mean? With
Mm-hmm.
psilocybin, I love it, and a lot of people love it, and I get a lot of insights. But with Aya, I have this feeling that I've just reached like level 1 of physical healing. See
Same.
what I mean? And I
Same.
want to get to level 2 and 3 and 4, and I want to learn from these people as well. These
The
taitas from
elders.
Colombia, yeah, these curanderos, the taitas, the elders. They have so much knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like I'm in awe. Like I'm in awe. Yeah, yeah.
I was feeling the exact same way coming out of that second one. And like, so
Mhm,
that the second ceremony that I just did, like on this past retreat,
mhm.
that for me was like Mother Ayahuasca being like, okay, like here's what I can do. Like here is the peak of existence. And like I felt the entire fucking universe within me, and just this intense knowing that I am part of it and not separate from any one of you. And like I'm one
Yeah.
with the earth and the trees and the birds and nature and the insects and everything. And like I was just I went outside the temple, and it was a pretty clear night, and they had a fire set up outside too. So
Mhm.
I laid down next to that fire and was just looking up at the stars, and I was just weeping tears of just pure joy and euphoria and happiness,
Yeah.
and like just
Pure
this deep,
bliss.
yeah, just like this again, this deep knowing that like the universe has my back, like everything
Yeah.
is perfect. I am perfect. The only thing we need to do is cultivate more love and more community. And it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, everything's just going to fall into place and it's going to work. And like, that was, I think, the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it was really amazing. And like, I did not get that true, like high feeling on that first retreat like I did this
Yeah.
time. And now that was like you know, I also during that ceremony, there were some times earlier where I, you know, had some pretty deep insights,
Mhm.
and was, you know, sort of assured that like it was making me sit with like my dreams, and basically like
Mhm.
I don't think I give myself enough time to really dream and think about the future, because I'm always like, yeah, stay in the present, like, you know, all that. I think it could be really easy to get caught up in that, and you know, when you get so caught up in that, you don't allow yourself to dream and actually plan for a beautiful future, which like it can be beautiful to do that and visualize it, but just without getting attached to it. You know, like think how cool
Yeah.
that would be, and visualize, but be open to other things happening along the way.
Yeah. I once, I think it was a podcast by Ferris, basically, where there was a guest, and he was saying that it's important to stay in the present, but at the same time, it's okay to dream. See what I mean? And you can visualize your dream as long as when you visualize your dream, you just basically whatever you've written on the paper, you get rid of it again. See what I mean? So you kind of manifest it in a certain fashion, but by getting rid of it again, you're not making it dogmatic. See what I mean?
Yeah.
But at least you've had like an idea of what it is, or what you basically want to achieve, right? But not as a certain something that's like a neurotic objective or a goal that you need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So also too, you were at Davos earlier this year, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about that. So one, let me preface this by saying, like, I don't actually know that much about Davos, but in my mind, what it is a bunch of like rich, influential people that get together to plan how to control the rest of the world and just take control and like power and all of that. It's a very negative connotation when I think of Davos. But how was it actually from somebody that was there?
Huh. You want the politically correct answer? I mean, like, I I kind of got invited, and I mean, there was this, we there were a few panels, and one of the panels was about mental health, and then within mental health you have psychedelics. So I'm actually pretty grateful that there's at least panels, and talks around mental health, because as one out of 8 people or one out of 7 people are suffering or will suffer soon from a mental health condition. So that's a quite staggering number, right? So a lot of people are in agony and in pain, and many of them suffer in silence, and that's really sad. So at least having that, there was this house of trust talking about mental health and talking about psychedelics, to me was a big step, in the right direction. But of course, yeah, I mean, energetically, yeah, it's difficult even for me, because I kind of left that world, the corporate world, and so I felt very much like between two worlds, right? And I remember telling my business partner Matthias that I just didn't feel at ease. See what I mean? I was so happy for the opportunity to speak,
Mm-hmm.
because I spoke at 2 panels. I was actually on one panel sitting right next to Rick Doblin.
I saw that picture.
I mean, I went, wow, I was in awe. I was like, oh my God. So he started to talk. And then after a while, he just gave me the mic. And I was like, and I told him, I said, I come after you, like after you. You started like in 86, with maps, and you're just doing incredible work. Who am I? I'm just a little Belgian guy who's been organizing psychedelic retreats, right? So that was pretty special, right? Because he's one of my heroes. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Davos is not necessarily my thing. I'm super grateful for the opportunity. I'm super grateful for the people who basically invited me. But I dream of a psychedelic retreat center somewhere, maybe in Europe, in Portugal, a psychedelic retreat center that is, kind of small, that will invite small groups of people, have some like curanderos or taitas come over as well, and just heal people. That's what I want to do. I want to heal people, and if I can make a bit of money out of it, that's good, or maybe even a little bit more, right? Because I know I will put it to good use.
I had
But I'm
this
not
thought
dreaming the
on
millions.
yeah, sorry,
Mhm.
let me
No
apologies
worries, go
for
ahead.
doing that, but like I had this thought of mine, like my relationship with money has been very muddled throughout my life. It
Mhm.
was one of those things that, like, growing up, we were always it felt like we were always struggling for money. And like
Mhm.
if we had more money, things would be better and things would be better. Like, I know now money was not the issue. Like there were a lot of the
Yeah.
things that caused that, but like, having money shouldn't necessarily be looked at as a bad thing. And so I grew up really wanting money, and like that was my
Mhm.
pursuit. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, work for startups, like get equity, exit, get money,
Yeah.
and like just have the money. But like there was never like, okay, well, what next? Like it was the thought that, like, the money won't fulfill me. Once I started working with psychedelics, that was the realization. Like, money is not the end all be all. Like, yes, I need to make money to live in this world, but like, I shouldn't be focused on it. And when I was in Costa Rica on this last retreat, I was sitting there and just thinking about my relationship with money again. And, essentially realizing that having money, like having wealth and having abundance in and of itself, like is not a bad thing. It's what you choose to do with that. Because I think that if I'm getting $1 million a year, but I'm giving away $900,000 a year and using the rest just to live, like there's nothing wrong with receiving all of that money and all of that wealth and all of abundance. But as long as you are giving it away, like money needs to flow. And like money is energy. Like just like the emotions that we experience, money is energy. It is an energetic exchange that you are giving somebody in response to a service or something that they are giving you. So it is your job to take that money, take that energy, and let it continue to flow through you. But what the problem that we're getting is people are taking the money and then they're just holding it. They're just holding onto it. They're holding that energy, and then they're never releasing it into the world. And so I think that's what's creating a lot of the class divide, I think, that we're seeing just growing right now.
Yeah. Aho. Nothing more to add. But I believe that's one of the lessons I had as well at my ayahuasca retreat, that everything is energy, right? Like everything is an energetic exchange, and with food as well. I mean, I went to the supermarket and I was like not buying organic foods, and it just didn't sit well with me. See what I mean? Because I'm like everything is energy. So if this plant has been like grown in circumstances that are not positive, I'm going to ingest that, let's say, negative energy, and it's going to make me a more negative person. So I really want to focus on this kind of energetic exchange and make sure that it's, let's say, positive, and that foods come from like these organic farms. And I'm really going to make some differences in my life, actually. Yeah.
So did you have the intention going into this ayahuasca retreat to help you, like with the mood swings that you were experiencing? Or
yeah, that was the main intention. Like two things. 2019, I had the burnout. It triggered mood swings in me, or bipolar fragility. One might say, and IBS as well, irritable bowel syndrome. And both of them are connected, right? If you don't
everything's
feel
connected
well,
to the gut.
yeah, it's the gut brain axis basically. So if you eat bad foods, basically your stomach is going to be upset, your bowels as well, and that's going to cause a bad mood. When you have a bad mood, basically it's going to upset your stomach and your bowels. So and it was getting worse and worse, the IBS and the mood as well. So I went in and I said, I just want to, I'm really ready to die. Just cleanse me, like my mind, my body, just cleanse me. And
surrender.
Yeah, just surrender. I'm happy for like just make it happen. Like I went for 4 cups the first night. Like people were like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, man.
Just went all out. Yeah, all out. Yeah. So that was the intention basically, but without being too dogmatic either. I was like, because I see that with a lot of my participants, they formulate a certain intention and then they do the retreat and then they're like, nah, no, didn't happen. So I want to, I just want to surrender as well and see what it brings. And yeah,
one of the
I'm
things,
confident it gives you what you need.
Yeah, ayahuasca is going to give you what you need, not necessarily what you
Yeah.
want. One of the things
Yeah.
that this group that I was just with told us at the beginning before the first ceremony is about, it's good to have an intention to go into it, but it's also really good to be able to just let go of that intention completely and just let whatever is going to happen. Like, don't be so stuck on the intention, because then you're just going to go into this like, thought loop cycle. And nothing's going to happen, because sometimes in order to actually get that intention and sort of solve for what it is, there are other parts that need to be cleansed first. So if you're too focused on the intention, you're not going to allow the energy to go to those other parts, which need to be cleaned in order for you to then get back to the intention.
Oh.
Dude, where did Aho stem from? Like, is there a specific tribe somewhere? Or like, because like, how did this entire community just be like, yeah, we're gonna start doing that?
Yeah, well, but yeah, it's the natives, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so yeah, and I love it though because it's aho, right?
Yeah.
It's like
It's
it's
everything you just said. It's I mean it's basically
everything.
like the native amen.
Yeah, yeah, like everything and more. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in love. When it comes to these kind of words, I love them. I'm a linguist basically. I study languages, and in there's so many beautiful words out there, or like in Arabic as well. They have like inshallah. We've got one sit or maktub. It is written. See what I mean? Like
Mm.
everything is written already. It is written. So it's gonna happen. It is written. I love that. Or these Japanese words. What is it, wabi sabi, and these kind of things. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I don't know. I love languages. I just it really it's opening a door. Like the fact that we can talk to one another because I learned English. See what I
Uh-huh.
mean? I'm speaking to someone who's like from a different company, and we talk about like deep shit as well, right? We're not
Uh-huh.
talking about I want to like loaf of bread, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about like
What's the weather?
spiritual enlightenment. See what I mean? That's just amazing. What a language can do. I just love it. You see what I mean?
I I cannot agree more. I remember during some of my first like LSD trips when I was in college, like very recreational. Sometimes I'd have to be on my phone and text somebody, and I'd like start, and then I'd be like, "Holy, like, how the fuck am I just typing these random characters, and then they're gonna understand exactly what I
Yeah,
mean from me putting these in a certain order with spaces and all that?" I'm like, "Holy shit, that's crazy."
it's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And it can really unite people as well. See what I mean? Like the aho is the most perfect example, right?
Hmm.
Like aho, we don't need we don't need more than that either. Like
I
it's like
think
condensed.
people use way too many words in general,
Mm,
and
yeah.
I mean, oh man, when we were in the sharing circle after the second ceremony,
Mhm.
and the the guy who was in charge was like, "Okay, everybody, keep it short, condense it in as little words as possible, and try and keep it personal. Don't make big generalizations for everybody. Just if you feel called to share, talk about your own experience tonight and keep it short." And the first motherfucker that goes just starts going on. He's like, early, like last week, this thing happened. And he talked for 10 minutes
Oh,
and then
no.
made these grand realizations afterwards. And I was like, and I was thinking the whole time of one, I'm like, ayahuasca is testing my patience right now. This is a
Yeah,
test.
yeah.
This is exactly what she wants me to do is sit here and just be okay with this. And then also just thinking like you could have like I know how I would have told that story in 3 sentences. I could
Yeah,
have
yeah.
gotten the exact same point across that he was trying to get across in as little and like we kind of have like this weird thought that like the more we talk and like the more big words we use that like the smarter we sound. And I now
Mhm.
realize that if I can get my point across in as little words as possible, like that is the best way for me to communicate 100% of the time. And especially when
Yeah, yeah.
I'm talking to people that are interested in coming to these spaces too, like that's how I've been trained is you want to get to the truth. That's it. That's all we're trying to uncover. And the truth is either they want to work with this medicine or they do not want to work with this medicine. How do I
Mhm.
get to that truth and get them to see that truth as quickly as possible? And that's
Yeah, yeah.
not using bullshit words, worrying about, oh, if this is going to offend you or things like that. It's just being like, hey, like, what's the deal? Do you want to come or
Yeah, yeah,
not?
yeah. No, no, you're right.
Uh
Oh.
huh. What was I had another question for you? Yeah. So when did you leave McKinsey?
I left McKinsey in 2014, so I was an operations consultant, and I was getting a bit bored, right? So because I was always doing the same kind of work, and yeah, I just didn't like it anymore. So that was 2014, so it's been 10 years, and then I went back in 2020. I think it was during the pandemic, and they were looking for an interim HR manager, and I did that for a while. Yeah, so it was interesting. I like McKinsey because I grew up thinking that I wasn't too smart for some kind of reason, because I wasn't really good at physics or mathematics. And then in Belgium, like mathematics and physics are being revered. You see what I mean? And all other like things are just like for for the commoners, let's say.
Hmm.
I went to McKinsey and they taught me how to structure my thinking. See what I mean? And to do some proper root cause problem solving. To involve people as well in decision processes. So I'm really like I'm very grateful. For the experience there. But at the same time, yeah, they just prime me for the corporate world, right? Which
Yeah.
is yeah, I like yeah, I've chosen a different path now, and I'm not judgmental whatsoever. There's people in corporates, I mean, who are brilliant people who do brilliant work as well. But it's just I'm a rebel. I'm unbound. I'm a free bird. I just want to fly.
Yeah.
When I want to work a few months and then I want to sit. I want to do
Yeah.
ayahuasca. I want to go to the jungle. I want to travel with my minivan. See what I mean? I want that's the kind of shit that I want, because to me that is very important and is part of my self actualization. And for some people that's just a different self actualization, and that's okay as well. But it's no longer my world.
Yeah. To just be so enthralled in work that becomes your
Yeah,
life.
yeah. I'm not doing that anymore. I had a really tough lesson in 2019. It made me ill. See what I mean? Like chronically ill. So I'm not going to do that anymore. So if I can just help people realize that there's more to life than work, even if it's just one person, I'd be super grateful as well. Yeah.
So in 2019, when you were experiencing that burnout, like how did you end up deciding I'm gonna go do psilocybin?
Yeah, yeah. So in 2020, I think 1 year after my burnout, I met these people. Like, you know how it happens, right? You just met random people and they're like, let's book a chalet, just a little house in the Belgian Ardennes, which is a hilly area in Belgium. And let's do psilocybin. And I was like, yeah, why not? I've always been a bit impulsive and intuitive and going with the flow. And we did breath work, we did psilocybin. And after the trip, I was like, this is it. This is what I need to be doing, right? Because I've always like helped people out, and I always wanted to bring self awareness out in people. And this is like a catalyst, right? Psilocybin is a catalyst. So I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then I think, yeah, I must have been in 2021 now, 3 years ago, that I started doing retreats. Started off doing 1 day retreats here in my garden in Belgium, and then I wanted to do things more, let's say, in a more professional fashion. And I started doing psilocybin retreats in Holland, because Holland is super liberal, right?
Yeah.
The magic truffle is allowed. So so we're actually able to hold
Mhm.
legal psychedelic retreats in Holland. I do some sketchy stuff as well, but
Do
but
you do you have a partner currently?
yeah, yeah. I have a business partner. Is that what you mean, or
No,
do you
no,
mean
yeah, 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 like more like a
a
life
life
partner.
partner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. My wife Shirley. Yeah, we've been together for 20 years now.
So what did she
So
think when you were first like, yo, I'm gonna take random people into our garden and give them mushrooms?
she loved it. She's even crazier than I am. No, we're really soulmates. Like we both value like freedom, it's expression of self. We're in an open relationship, for instance, as well. So we communicate a lot.
Mm.
Like I went on this I retreat. I went to Bali for 2 weeks. She went to Spain for like these kind of running holidays. So we're just being
Where were your
very
kids?
open. Like when she was in Spain, I was looking after the kids.
Okay.
When I was in Bali, she was looking after the kids. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You both just went at the same
But,
time and just left the kids. Ah, you guys will be fine.
oh yeah, Daddy was fine at the age of 10 as well.
Yeah. This is what my dad did.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Lock me up in the cellar. Sorry, Dad, but that's what he did sometimes, so, which wasn't too nice.
Mhm. You're also I know that you posted about it on LinkedIn that I saw, but you're open sexuality wise too, correct?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Correct, correct. So,
Was that
yeah, I
something
identify.
that you've like really stepped into as you've been on this journey, or is that something that you've known for a while?
Yeah, I've known it since the age of, I think, 12 or 16. So I identify as a bisexual man. and I've always known it. My wife knew it as well. So the moment we met, basically, I had a crush on her boyfriend. So it was a bit of a strange situation. Then they broke up, and I basically went after her. Well, that's the advantage of being kind of bisexual. You can
Hmm.
you can choose, right? But like it wasn't until like a few years ago that I decided really to make it public. So a few of my friends knew it. My parents didn't know it. Um, um, but after a while, I was like, no, this is me. This is part of my identity as well. Even though there doesn't necessarily have to be any bisexual behavior. See what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
I'm with my wife. We have an open relationship, but I haven't really pursued any, uh, to be very honest, any like sexual relationship with a man in the past 12 months. But to me, just like owning that identity and telling people that you are is so liberating. See what I mean? Because it's you, it's your identity, and you just put it out there, and you can be a role model for other people as well without being too, I don't want to like, I don't want
Dogmatic.
to, yeah, but like, how many bisexual men do you know? There's a lot out of there, but you don't know them, because for girls it's kind of, like let's say that like heterosexual men, they like the fact that girls can be together. See what I
Hmm.
mean? But for men it's taboo. Um so yeah, I just put it out there, and I hope that some people can get inspired as well, and that they know that it's okay to be a bit gay or lesbian or
Hmm.
whatever it is. See what I mean? Just you be you, right? I mean, let's make this world into a better place, and I think we can do so if everyone has the courage, basically, to own up to their truth and to communicate about their truth. Yeah.
Aho.
Oh.
Well, I think that that's a really beautiful way to end. Thank you so much for sharing
Mhm.
your stories, sharing your knowledge with us. Before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share, or I guess share where people can find you?
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, if people are interested in doing so you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Greg Carrette, and Carrette is Carrette,
I'll link to
and I'm
that
the
too
owner
in
of.
the footnotes.
Yeah, good, good, good. So, and I'm the owner of True Nature, and so we operate out of Holland. So, if you're ever interested in doing a psychedelic retreat, you can always reach out to me. Or if you just want to have a chat about psychedelics, you can reach out to me as well, right? Shouldn't always be sales. I'm more about the relationship and getting to know people, like what we're doing right now. So, just you can reach out to me, and I think that, I mean, there's a couple of things that I learned, at least, and they may seem kind of trivial, but I think in life you should be having fun, right? Especially us, we're in a very privileged position, right? I mean, first world people. We can make decent money. I mean, so just have fun in life. If you're not having fun, something's off, right? And then you need to dig into it, and maybe get a bit of help as well, and maybe then psilocybin or Aya can help, provided it's done in a safe context, right? In a safe container. So fun is very important, and love as well. I think, spread love. I mean, I'm not there yet. I can get a bit judgmental, or let's say jealous or what have you, but at least I'm aware of these emotions, and I think I just want to spread love. I think it's important that we give people love. People are in desperate need of love. And it can be something small, like just smiling at a certain someone, or saying hello, or just picking up something from, let's say, the floor, or sharing something. It doesn't need to be much, because I think that's, as human beings, we often, see things in a very big. We believe that being, like sharing love, like
It
is
has to
this
be like a
kind of
grandiose
a
fashion of doing it.
grandiose
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But just a very,
I was at a concert the other
small.
night and somebody was like, "Hey man, I really like your shirt." And that right there, I was like,
That's
"Thanks."
it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
see?
I feel great.
Yeah. So just a small sign of appreciation is sufficient, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Thank you again so
Mm.
much. Sending you so much love for you, brother. Like
Yeah.
truly, I'm
Thank
so
you for
glad that we got
having
to do
me.
this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we'll see each other maybe, this year at Wonderland.
We shall see.
Yeah.
To be determined, but that's a wrap on today. Thanks again, brother.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this beautiful journey. I hope that you got something from this podcast, and just know how much I appreciate and love every single one of you for joining me and giving me this platform. And if you ever want to reach out to me, please feel free to DM me or shoot me a email at tripsittingblog@gmail.com. That's it. We'll see you next episode. Peace.